Welcome to the Epic Success Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Shannon Irvine. Today, we're going to be talking about a juicy one. So get ready to have your pen and pencil. You're going to have this realization that in the heart of hearts, you've intuitively known, right? And it's the idea that there is one lever that you can push up. You can flip it on, a success switch, if you will, that will allow you to go from operating and trying to grow and scale a business on 20% of your capacity versus having access to the 100% capacity that you have, but you have not accessed as of yet. And intuitively, we kind of know that, right? We go and we get skill-based learning where we'll learn strategies. Maybe it's webinars, maybe it's copy, maybe it's marketing, whatever it is. Maybe it's how do I build a course or how do I build a podcast? Hopefully that's on your list because I'm a big fan of podcasts. I think we just surpassed our 200th episode. Very exciting over here at Team Epic Success. So why are we only operating our businesses, our capacity, the things that we want most in the world, our dreams, our desires, our goals? Why is that only running on 20% of our capacity? Well, here's the bad news and the good news. So the bad news is that, or let's start with the good news. I'm like a sandwich. I'm going to do good news, bad news, good news. So good news is you're called. Good news is you're driven. Good news is that God put this desire in your heart. And no matter how much, if you're listening to the podcast, no matter how much it's hard or it's difficult or you can't figure it out, you're still in the arena. That's because that's not going to go away. That's a God-given calling for your life to impact others, to honor God, to truly make a difference in the world, right? So no matter what, that desire isn't going away, even though maybe you've tried to bury it at times or not execute on it at times, it still keeps bubbling it up, right? So if that's true, tell me that it's true, because that's the thing that we want most, is to see the vision that God gave us in our hearts come to pass, right? Come to pass. But what we don't know is that the part of our operating system, our brain that runs our day to day, is our prefrontal cortex running 20%. Prefrontal cortex is our thinking mind. It's right behind our forehead. That's why I touch my head. And it's maybe 10% or 20% of our daily decisions, our actions, and our results are coming from that place. The place that created the vision board, the place that created the goals, right? This thinking part of our mind, although it was given to us by God and it's meant to govern and really help us execute, it's only 20 to 10% of your capacity. And so what I see and what I did for the longest time is use grit and willpower and determination, all coming, those ideas or those places are all coming from this thinking part of your mind. I'm going to work harder than anybody else. I'm going to try harder. I'm going to learn more. And we do those things. And don't you feel like it's almost a merry-go-round? You almost end up close to where you started with maybe a little growth, but not the exponential growth that God said that we should have, right? More than we ever asked or imagined, pressed down to overflowing, right? More than we can ever ask or imagine. I don't know about you. I can ask and I can imagine a lot because I really want to see this vision that God has given me come to pass. So why is it that we operate only on the 20%? And why is it that most amazing entrepreneurs never question, how do I access the 80% that's actually running the decisions, the actions, and therefore the results? If we know we're only operating on 10 to 20%, there's a range because as scientists go, God knows what the real number is, but as scientists, we're always trying to figure out and doing peer-reviewed studies and longevity studies, and the results come between 10 and 20%. So when I learned that, I knew I needed to be able to access that 80%, because tell me, like, how much easier is it to get the results you want if you're using 100% of your capacity versus using 20? Like, this is a no-brainer, right? This is like, I need the 100%. And, you might have read that or heard that in science, or like science classes, or, access the mindset of the 7-figure entrepreneur. We're doing a challenge for that next week called the Unleashed Entrepreneur, where we're going to break down how to access this full 100% of your capacity. So if you're wanting to operate on 100% and not on just 20, comment the word unleashed in the chat, and we will send you an invitation to get in the room next week, because literally I'm going to be unpacking step by step. How do you uncover it? How do you unleash it? And how do you use it to make your results in your business happen faster than you could ever imagine? So if that is something that you knew something was in the way, there was just a missing piece. Well, my friend, this is the missing piece. It's accessing 100% of your capacity that your brain has available to you, so that you can get 100% of the results that God has called you to, right? And so comment Unleashed, and we'll send you an invitation to be able to be in that room. And it's an invite only type of a room. So here's where I want to unpack for you where the rest of the 100% lies. And it lies in the subconscious mind that has been trained since youth, since you were born, to just execute the program of what you've believed. Well, what do you mean what I've believed? The definition in terms of what goes in the subconscious of what you believe, it's what's been repeated the most. And where the disconnect happens for us as entrepreneurs is we don't have belief on the internal voice, but yet we want the people we want to use our external voice to convince people that they should buy and should be enrolled in those kind of things. You cannot outperform your subconscious. You have to get in and flip that switch, that lever, to where everything that's in that subconscious mind aligns with the calling and where you're going, and doesn't align against it. And I don't know about you, whether you had the best childhood in the world, the worst childhood, or somewhere in between, there are belief patterns or automations, we call in our world, running about money, about your worth, about being enough, about how you stack up to the rest of the world, about your ability. Those things that were repeated around you with enough consistency when you were young adult, when you were in school, in your childhood family of origin, that is actually what is on autopilot, running 80% of your daily decisions, actions, and therefore your results. Now, God never intended for this to be elusive and that you couldn't access it. In fact, why we don't learn this in school is so mind-blowing to me and angers me so much. I mean, my children know we sit down and talk about this all the time, because that was never meant to be the case. We were always meant to think on what is good, true, pure, lovely, and praiseworthy, so that would run 80 to 90% of our daily decisions, actions, and results. We were always called to continue to make our mind new, or renew our mind daily, so that what automated in our subconscious aligned with the calling, aligned with what results you wanted to get, aligned with the desires of your heart. But as time went on and the deceiver deceived, the ruminations of our mind shift, don't they? They're about what we lack, not what we have, just like in the garden. That sounds surprising. No, of course, this is what happens in this world. So in our family of origin, whatever was repeated became an automation in your belief, and it is running 80% of your business results, your relational results, your health results, and on it goes. And so to unlock and unleash the full 100% of your capacity towards the desires of your heart, towards the business of your dreams, the 7-figure business, the 8-figure business, to have the freedom that you really desire in the deep part of your hearts for you, for your family, for your children, for your extended family. These desires of your heart are God-given, and the system of your subconscious gets to become unleashed toward it. But majority of people, and I hope this isn't you, it was me until I actually learned how to flip this switch on. The majority of people will spend their entire life not fulfilling their destiny because they're only operating their destiny and calling and business and life on 20% capacity. And it's hard to do that, isn't it? It's hard to put everything that matters most and only allow you to access 20% strength, 20% wisdom, 20% ability, right? God gave us this subconscious not to work against us, but gave us the manifesto in scripture on how to really employ it so that results become inevitable, so that you don't have to work so hard to create the calling and the desires of your heart. In fact, in God's goodness, this subconscious was created because it was never meant to be filled with lies, or as my friend Myron calls, your lie-identity about what you believe about who you are that is false and is not true. It was never meant to believe stories about money being the root of all evil, which is not truth, right? It's never meant to be automated, because what we believe goes on autopilot and it fires that 80% without our knowledge, permission, right? It's just running. It's why you want the thing so much, but then you go live, you go make an offer, and you feel those feelings. Those are neurochemicals trying to keep you safe and aligned with what is in automation in that subconscious running 80% of the show. And that's why I said next week we do this Unleashed Entrepreneur Challenge a few times a year, where you learn how to get access to the full 100% of your capacity, the full 100% of your belief, the full 100% of your capacity. And so that you can not just achieve and accomplish goals, but if you've been running the goals you have now on 20%, imagine how fast it's going to be when you run on 100% of your capacity. That's why our coaching program is called the 67-day year, is because you can literally create this new automation, unpack that subconscious to literally be in alignment with everything that you want in about a 67-day window. So when you do that, now you have 100% of your ability, your capacity, your calling going toward the vision, going toward the goals. And those that don't align are pruned away. See, that's the thing. We can build vision and we can build those things in our brain and our subconscious. But if we don't remove those things that are slamming the brakes of our beliefs about ourselves, our lie identity, right? If that is not removed, if the internal voice isn't changed, then the external voice will never be bigger than it is right now. Right. So we want access to that 100% capacity, and we want to ditch, remove, destroy, eliminate those success sucking stories that have been helping you slow down, that have been pumping the brake of your success. This is all happening in the subconscious, whether you know it or not. And that's why operating on a 20% versus the remaining 100% is the one thing this year that will get you results faster than anything else you could try. No other strategy, because guess what? If you're bringing 20% into the next strategy and the next strategy and the next strategy, are they going to work? Will they have better results? No, because it's only 20% capacity on those strategies. But when you tap in and really unleash the full 80% that's in your subconscious, now you are literally a Ferrari heading toward the success that becomes inevitable. And so I really want to challenge you. If you are someone with a dream, if you are someone with a vision, if you're someone with a family that really wants to see your lineage shift from we're this to we're this, if you're a person that wants to create generational shift, that wants to impact others, that wants to go the distance, then my friend, make sure that nothing is a higher priority for you than getting access to the 100% capacity that God always intended you to have. So all of it can be applied to growing your business, impacting others, and honoring God in the process. So that's why we do this challenge that we're doing next week, Unleashed Entrepreneur. You want to go to, I think the trailer's there already for the video series. You go to unleashedentrepreneur.com. And down there's a button to get registered for the challenge. We'll be together all next week and we'll be unpacking how do you clarify, how do you erase the things that are getting in the way, and how do you automate that 100% toward the vision so that it comes to pass so much faster with so much more ease and joy, like you knew it should be. All right. That's what I have for you on this week's episode of the Epic Success Podcast. I cannot wait to be with you next week for the Unleashed Entrepreneur live video series and event. We'll be together Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the 8th, 9th, and 10th. I'm going to be breaking down the 3 main pillars to give you access to that full 100%, to remove anything that's not aligning with where you want to go, and to put it into automation so you are operating your entire life on that 100% capacity and seeing your results, instead of taking a year, become a 67-day year. All right, that's what I have for you this week. Thanks for joining me live on Instagram. Thank you so much for listening to the Epic Success Podcast. Listen, I love you to death. My heart is for you, to see you fully step into exactly what you were put on this earth to do, so you can feel the joy and the peace of just honoring God and serving others and stepping into that destiny that was stamped on your life before you breathed your first breath. And now, if you're my age or around my age, you're trying to think about destiny and what you're going to leave for the next generation and the next generation. The biggest thing you can leave is showing people how to be 100% of what you're called to be. All right. I cannot wait to see you next week on our live time together. Until next time on the Epic Success Podcast, I'll see you then. Bye for now.